Hello student, welcome to MKLI Digital School YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe and you hit the like button. Today we are looking a very important part of mathematics paper 2. As I already told you in the previous video that exam is all about instruction and it tests instructions. So no matter uh, how you know the subject, no matter your understanding of your subject, what matters when marking is the instruction. So let's look about first of all setting of paper 2. Paper 2 is setting are 21, that is 13 from form 3 and 8 from form 4. So paper 2 niveau 2, 21 topics. 21 topics, 13 from 3 and 8 from 4. That is 13 plus 8, 21. Because of this, all topics have equal chances of being tested and even some tested twice. So Tawana trends of setting KCSE as we go. Form 3 syllabus section 1, it has 12 questions, and Form 4 syllabus section 1 has 4 questions. That is a total of 16. Form 3 syllabus section 2 has a 4 question, and Form 4 syllabus section 2 has 4 questions. That is a total of 8. So from observation, Form 3 it covers 12 plus 4, that is a 16 topics. 16 question, 16 question, and Form 4 it covers 4 plus 4, which is 8. 4 plus 4, which is 8. Meaning that in section 1, Form 3 covers more questions than Form 4, but in section 2 they have equal chances. One mistake. Number 1 is omission of work is penalized 1 marks, where the opinion of examiner there is missing work that should have been shown. For instance, in vector, where the vector symbols is omitted throughout, a student will be penalized once if and only the student has scored the whole question. Look at this. Vector, it has its own symbols. So if a student omitted symbols, even tuseme hajatumia hata mahali moja hiyo symbols, hiyo student atapata hiyo vector. But if the student score the whole question, is penalized 1, so 1 marks anatolewa. I think hapo umeelewa. The next is premature approximation. This we talked in paper 1 when we are tackling mistakes for paper 1. Premature approximation is applied the candidate approximation, the value less than 4 significant figure. So such uses of 3.14 or uses 6,400 as the earth radius. So premature approximation, it cost you 1 marks. Methods of error. An error committed when candidate uses a wrong method during the process of working, all marks are lost if this is noted, even if the answer is correct. Already answer ni correct, lakini method umetumia ni wrong. So even if the answer is correct, you will not get any mark. For example, quadratic equation. Also simultaneous equation. Quadratic equation, these are several ways of solving. Number 1, method of completing square, factorization, and the use of the formula. Also, simultaneous equation, there are several methods: the matrix method, the substitution, and elimination method. So if the question instructs you to use, for example, in quadratic method of completing square, and a student commit himself or herself of using formula minus b plus or minus b square root of plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. If a student commit him or herself of using formula or factorization and the question require completing square, the student will not score. And the examiner will know if the student uses method of the completing square or factorization or formula by the first step, that's the method 1. So hii ndio inatuonyesha kama ametumia nini method of completing square. So student A amepata zote. Look at student B now. Look at student B. Student B ametumia formula. So already amekosa MO. Even if the answer is correct, hapa answer ni 2. Na hapa answer ni answer x in negative 2 also. Even if the answer is correct, the student will score nothing. Answering more than 5 questions in section 2. Even this we have talked in our previous video. That is, only 5 questions are acceptable. Extra question must be cancelled out in full. Lazima cancel in full. And please make sure that your cancellation line inapitia your writing. Partial attempted question and work in the pencil must be cancelled out too, or else it will be considered as done or attempted question. So even if umetumia pencil, kama swali imekushinda, just cancel tu using one line. Na hiyo line yako ipitie kwa writing yako. For example, kama anataka ni cancel hii, lazima ipitie hivi. Ukisema ikipitia line yako ukiweka hivi, haitapitia writing yoyote, this question will be marked and is considered as done question or attempted questions. Look at this. If a student, for example, this is a question. Student amefanya vitu zake hapa, then amecancel hivi. Do you know that this question will be marked as a done question because this cancellation yako haijapitia wapi? Haijapitia kwa writing yako, inafaa ipitie kwa writing yako hivi. Unsimplified equation, fraction or ratios. In all cases involving equations, fractions and ratio, the final answer should be expressed in its lowest form. Deal with the common factors, avoid improper fractions. Where possible, a simplified equation should be devoid of fraction and decimal. So make sure that avoid at any cost the improper fractions, and also you have to simplify it further. Except this topic that's known as probability. Probability is either simplified or simplified. Look at this student and defining the amplitude of the curve y minus 3 over 2 sine 2 theta minus 3. The minus that I mean amplitude is either answer of the amplitude is either 1.5 or 1 over 2 because this is the amplitude 3 over 2. So this 3 over 2, common student ameandika 3 over 2 hivi. This is a proper fraction, so the student will score nothing. So remember that this question of trigonometric, it behaves like organic. Chemistry 1 in form 3. Because organic chemistry 1 in form 3, we were talking about 3 things. That is alkanes, and alkynes. The alkenes and alkynes or alkanes, all of them, they have one root name. The root name is meth, eth, prop, but, pent, hex, hept until ifike number 10. So that root name ndio hasa ukifika when we are alkane we say meth, for example we say methane. When we are alkene, methane, not methane, ethene, because alkene ina meth, ethene. When we are in alkyne, ethine. So that root name ndio na determine. The same thing applies. The root of the trigonometry is either sine or cos or tan, whatever that we have here, either sine or cos. So, subject of the formula. Subject of the formula. When answering subject of the formula, student is subject of the formula. These are questions that must be tested in every paper 2 exam. Every paper 2 exam. So, if a student amepata hapa, then there's a way of simplifying. So that there's a way mwanafunzi he could multiply both sides by negative na apate answer yake. So atapata 1 marks, hii ya pili atakosa. Angefanya vile angefanya vile student B amefanya. Look at this student B. He multiplied both sides by negative. Na ametoa na amepata hivyo. So simplify as you can further. Parallel lines of locus or loci. Locus, use of tangent to draw a parallel lines is not accurate. For example, kutumia tangent kuchora the parallel lines, so is accurate. The best way kutumia hapa e lines. For example, this is a AB, this is a AB, so you can stand either A or B or any point between A and B, then you draw. Then you draw. After that, you draw. So this place is the center of the. This place is the center of the. Is the radius of these lines. Incomplete proof of collinearity. Very common question. You must prove this is collinear. So some student wanaacha katikati swali. The scalar growth should be confirmed in other vector component. So both vectors lazima ionyeshe that it can be expressed in a scalar form. Reinforce that vector being expressed as a scalar multiple is proof of parallelism. The sharing of common point is a proof, very common point, the proof of collinearity. Conclusion must be present. For example, good example is this. So let's find the value of x if points are collinear. So you must show the vector symbols ni hivyo imeonyeshwa, then B AC already umepata. Then this is the way you're supposed to put AB is equals to KAC. You know that? I think mnaona AB is equals to KAC. The K is the scalar now. The K is scalar. So already umeonyesha the K ya kwanza, K ya pili. Then wasani AB is equals to 1/3 AC. So hii inaonyesha data ni parallel. So what's common? Hapa kuna AB na hapa kuna AC. So A is common point. Hence A, B and C are collinear. Commitment of your own work. A student should leave his or her own work in a way that the examiner should not get fixed to a particular marking point, especially on answer. For example, his swali calculate the percentage area of the area of triangles or rectangles. I mean, his swali haijakwambia to correct significant figure, haijakwambia 4 decimal places, 3 decimal places, haijakwambia. So leo students amechukua 0.67 na tulisema in case swali haijakwambia to any significant figure or any decimal places, always choose the first significant figure. So student wameweka tu 0.67 na akada underline. Student aka underline inamaanisha nini? Anawaambia examiner that asimark anything that iko mbele ya hii, this is my answer, mark this, na student anakosa. That's one thing. Another thing is student hapa ameandika hajaanaline, lakini hapa ameandika answer. Usiandike anything, it is up to the examiner that atafute. So student kama angeacha hapa ameandika hapa na ameandika hii swali pia 0.67 hii answer I mean, na haja underline everything, it is up to the examiner atafute the correct answer, which the correct answer ni ile ya kwanza pia, of which the correct answer is the previous answer, which is 0.67349606767%, because the question does not limit us. So don't underline, also don't write answer, that name andike answer hivi. Look at the student B then. Ona student B ameandika answer. The moment umeandika answer utakosa. Tuende kwa SI unit commitment. Unit are not necessary. By the way, mathematics, this is not physics, my friend. Mathematics unit are not necessary, but wrong unit in a lead penalties. For example, this question is calculate the distance travel, the displacement. So displacement actually tunafunza yapata ngapi? 10/5/6. Displacement distance ni mita, sio hajaandika mita. 10/5/6 amepata zote, max amepata. So the student B ameandika nini? 10/5/6 meter per second. The moment umeandika meter per second, the correct unit is marked by the way, but if the unit is incorrect, for example meter per second is not, it's for speed, not for displacement or for distance, so atakosa hiyo 1 marks, and 1 marks in KCSE is very crucial. Taxation, these are also a very common question that always in paper 2, but the taxation, the setting of KCSE depend on our current situation of our country. For example, in 2020 they added something that's known as pension. So that KCSE from that year, the question has the pension schemes. If for this year, for example, saizi wameongeza kitu ambayo inaitwa housing levy. So housing levy pia inaongezwa. So basic salary plus some of the all allowances unapata nini? Gross pay. Remember that the taxable income inatoka from basic salary plus all allowances. In that year, Mr. Yuki earned a monthly basic salary of the cash 39,200. So he's entitled for a monthly personal relief or for 1,300 and insurance relief of 15% of the premium. So geometric construction, all working should be done correct to at least first significant figure unless exact number are involved. All answers should be given to at least first significant figure unless they are exact or otherwise stated. Kama KCSE, not even geometric construction, if all the working of mathematics KCSE, even if as long as the question is not it's not restricting you, give your answer to 4 significant figure. If the question is restricting you to 2 significant figure or 2 decimal places or 1 decimal places, that you have to follow the instruction. Allow room for rounding off to the required accuracy by working above it. Any construction may lead to loss of marks. The best way is to copy the whole answer displayed on calculator screen where the accuracy level is stated. So that's when there's not restriction. Plotting. The reading of smaller division on both axes must be calculated for exact plot. So the reading of the smallest division must be calculated. So this is for graphs. So for example, trigonometric graph, hapa ni clarifies so many things. Number 1, your graphs you must label your graph. For example, this is for y3 cos x minus 60. That's one thing. You must label your graph. Number two, trough and crest. The crest and trough, they are curve, not straight line. So in case graph it took a straight line, you have to look away of making it curve. The ogive graph or the ogive graph, the axis scale must be accommodated to the lowest class boundary of the data. Boundaries are the range or end of the class for which the upper and lower end of any consecutive graph overlaps. Plot of accumulated frequency upper class boundary join the first point to the axis at the lowest class boundary, reinforce the correct interpretation of the inequality word exist and at least. So ogive graph inatokana in two ways. Number one, ni ile iko na limit na ile iko na boundaries. Ile iko na boundaries, for example, ile yani they overlap the value. For example, unaanza na the largest value, for example, on 20, for example 30 to 20, 19 to 18, 19 to 15 kitu kama hiyo. Lakini limits ni ile tu unaanza 4 to 9, 10 to 4, tunaona imeanza 10, nimeanza for example 5 to 9, 10 to 4, 10 to 14, I mean, or 10 to 15. So inaanza hivyo. So that's the limit. So ogive graph lazima itoke hivi. So ogive graph, for example, ukiangalia in KCSE 209 inaweza sometimes inaweza kupatia kitu ya negative, kitu inahitaji negative. So in case ogive graph yako haina, tunajua ogive graph haina negative, na in case ogive graph yako inakupatia negative, what will you do? You will do the data that you have. You will look the data you have. The data you have ni gani? The either temperature, ni height ama ni max. For example, most of the time wanatumia nini? Height and max. So if you have height and max can never be negative. It is equal negative. So for example, look at this example. Height is 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19, 20 to 24, 25 to 29, 30 to 34. So the height can never be negative. Height is equal to negative. So what will you do? So because ile tungefaa tuchore ni boundaries. So the boundaries, the lower limit sasa ni gani? Because hapa ningefaa nichore 0 minus 0.5. So nitapata ngapi? Negative 0.5 hapa. Negative 0.5. Hapa napata ngapi? Hii lower limit hii ni ngapi? 4.5. 4.5. Hii ni 9.5. Hii ni 14.5. 19.5. So ningefanya nichore kwa graph yangu sasa. Nianze 0.5. Unaona? Ningefanya nianze na 0.5 graph yangu. So that's ile ogive nafaa uchore. Lakini to avoid that negative, so these are some workshops walimu huwa wanaambiwa that graph iko hivi, student anaweza andika 0.5 hivi, then andike 4.5 hivi tu achore tu normal na atapata. Lakini hiyo ni correct, but iko na restriction when marking. Hiyo ni kwa sometimes wanaweza kataa wakati ina mark KCSE. So to be on safer side, kama kitu inakupatia negative, just anza na 0, 5, 10 iende hivyo. Transformation pia niliongelea last class, tulisema transformation is x-axis and y-axis with different scales, all marks are lost. Imagine 10 marks question, kitu tu umechora tu graph umechora na ukatumia ni x-axis x axis scale tofauti, y axis scale tofauti, max yote unakosa. That's kitu swali rahisi tu unajua. So make sure that all the axes have the same scale. Images drawn in the same with the broken lines marks will be lost. So images hufai kuchora with dotted lines, tumia full solid lines. Diagram draws without labeling. Also, in any drawing in mathematics, by the way, be it be transformation, be it be linear programming, you must label. Also, coordinates written on diagram are not in the space provided when demanded. So for example, naweza kuambia nini, write the coordinate of a prime, b prime, c prime kwa swali. So unafaa uandike under space provided because the instruction of the first page, the instruction unakuambia nini, fill the answer in the space provided. So you follow the instruction. Like example ilikuwa nini, all about instructions. Yeah. The shears and stretch is also very key areas ambayo unafaa angalia. Sasa shears and stretch kwa tunaongelea, lazima uangalie nini, the x invariant or y invariant and the scale factors, which is very important and nakuanga rahisi sana. So describe fully the transformation transformation ya shears. First of all, ama stretch unaangalia kama iko stretch ama iko, then it is x invariant, then scale factor of 2. So and that you will score 3 marks. Determine the matrix of transformation T. Also ana emerging trend, siku hizi wanakupatia ni wanakuambia nini, utafuteni the matrix. You have to let the matrix as A, B, C and D. So on the same grid draw the image of the square BQRS under shears with the line Y, -1 invariant, and R 3 is mapped on R prime -5 3 distance. So K, sasa lazima utafute the K. Does the distance moved perpendicularly? Perpendicular distance. And the K is the scale factor. Phase transformation is the process by which an object can undergo several transformations, one after the other, in a successive transformation. This is such that the image of the preceding transformation becomes the object of the succeeding transformation. When an object A undergoes two transformations such that it is the form of R followed by the another transformation N, then to find the A, it is found NR. So a single transformation, they mapped A into A prime is N. So this is when the another transformation N, one transformation M, and such that when an object is A, you may undergo two transformation. Ya kwanza ni ya R, ya pili ni N. So even atakuta. A point P xy is mapped onto P prime x1 y1 by successive transformation M. I think this was last year 2023 or 2024, I don't know, but it was this previous year 2024, I think. Find the single transformation matrix that involve map P1, that is P prime, I mean x1 y1 onto Px. So that is the first of all, after the determinant. After that you will get your answer. Longitude and latitude, shortest. So longitude and latitude inakuwa na shortest distance inakuwa na three type along the parallel of latitude. Longitude different must be less than 180. When the longitude are directly opposite, shortest distance between the 2 points along a great circle. So sometimes swali zingine hata inaweza kuwa exact wakuulize nini the shortest distance between point A and B, then wakuulize tu, yani kwa direct. Swali zingine inaweza kuwa direct. For example, swali inakuuliza nini, determine the position of A. So unatumia hii formula. Hii formula siku hizi haitumiki, lakini this formula siku hizi ni kama haitumiki. So unajua alpha over 360 times 2 times 22 over 7 times 370. So hizi formula siku hizi ni kama haitumiki. So you can overcome this formula for now. So the shortest distance encountered between A and C along the parallel of latitude. Look at this. So it's corner A 60 south, 110 east, and C 60 south, 160 west. Longitude difference sasa ni gani? 160 plus 110, that's 270. For shortest distance of longitude, that is the 60 minus 270, that's the 90. So unasema tu 90 by the 60 times 2 times 20 times 60 cos 60, that is 505. Probability. Fractions along the probability branch should not be simplified. Ufai kusimplify. Branches wakati unatumia nini? The tree diagram hivi. Hii usisimplify tafadhali. Because the one to simplify it will give you the wrong answer. Sum of the probability is 1. Hivyo unafaa ujue tu. All the sum of the probability must be inakupatia nini? 1. Answer say probability is written in decimal if and only if it is terminating decimal. So a simple fraction on answer of probability is acceptable. So probability fraction yake unaweza acha simplified or unsimplified. Me I prefer the unsimplified one because it is acceptable for all categories. So this is what I was telling you. So you also simplify. A die is based on when thus the probability of number r showing up is given by probability of r is equals to kr, where k is constant and r is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the number on the faces the die. Given that the value, find the value of k, which is jua tu. All of these things nikiadd zote, yani inafaa nipatie aje answer ni 1 hivyo tu. That's the concept unafaa uelewe. Tulisema sum of the probability is equals to 1. Tulisema hivyo sio? So all that figures inafaa kupatia nini? 1. So let's go to integration. Integration is the accurate method of defining the area of a bounded by a curve or line as it gives the exact, because the exactness decimal answer is the only acceptable if and only the decimal is terminating. So for non-terminating, leave your answer in a simplified fraction. So mimi huwa nasema tu one thing, wewe achana tu, leave alone the terminating decimals or the non-terminating decimals. Just give your answer in fraction form if you can. This is mathematics. Open-ended question. Open-ended question is the question that does not restrict the student. For example, ijakwambia utumie hivi. For example, swali kama hii, evaluate log 5 for giving the answer in 4 segment figure. So hii swali ijakwambia utumie. So this student, this example of this question, a student can feed directly into calculator na apeane answer na apate. A question answered elsewhere other than the space provided should be correctly numbered. For example, swali number 1 umekuwa na shida, umechafua kazi yako, sasa umeanza ana number 18. So ana number 18 lazima uandike this is number 1. So angles properties. In finding angle given a reason, the reason must be stated in full. Lazima reason ikuwe full. So hata ukijaribu tu kuandika tu dot hivi tu na uache answer yako hivi umeona imekushinda, this will be marked as attempted question. So unafaa ucancel na uache. A linear programming, all bounded must be named. Even ulikuwa nakwambia sasa, linear programming must be named or labeled. A student who fails to label the boundaries and miss one of the inequalities in shading loses all the marks. So, for example, kama umeharibu tu moja, if a student ameharibu moja, then student ameharibu moja, yes, lakini student zuri yake label. If a student label hiyo moja tu na unakosa hizi zingine anapata kama ziko correct, lakini student tuseme haja label anything, so na moja amekosa moja, so zote atakosa. So labeling is very very crucial. So this is the trend in KCSE. Trend in KCSE. Trend in KCSE. Trend in KCSE. So as we continue, don't forget to subscribe please the channel. Subscribe the channel. Make sure that you subscribe the channel. So make sure that you subscribe the channel. So let's go, Nasa. Let's go. The higher demand of the application and integration of the topics. Applications are increasingly require students to combine more than one concept. For example, a question might need knowledge of geometry, algebra, trigonometry, uh, the trigonometry rather than just one. There are more application problem, worded problems rather than the pure theory. For example, usually algebra inakuja in form of word problems rather than theory two or theory two. So trigonometry is easy questions. Another thing is more questions require exact values or precise work. Precise work. So also another thing is spread of the topic becoming wider, less predictable narrowness. Some areas that were less often tested are now increasingly appearing. For example, circles topics like chords, tangent, region, hii ni kama Kiswahili inakuja between intersection, circles, etc. Also, topic like uh, topic like vectors, formula, variation, commercial arithmetic, and sequence and series are common. These are testiwa killer exam, every exam. So emphasis on higher order thinking skills. HOTS namaanisha nini? More multi-steps question requiring a reasoning, not just recall. Question that require integration, estimation, approximation, error, and analysis. So also constant marks allocation pattern. Some topics almost always get some marks each paper. For instance, commercial arithmetic, variation, formulation, equation of lines, certain question formats and structures repeat frequently, such as word problem, transformation, and statistic. So also increase difficulties in some sections. Some section inakuwa, for example, ukiangalia KC 2022 na KC 2024. Imagine KC 2024 number one was sequence and series. Imagine of that. So the trend inakuwa nini more complex. So make sure that student amerevise vizuri sana kwa mathematics paper 2. So mathematics is so simple. Just playing with numbers. So make sure that you subscribe the channel, and also make sure that you subscribe the channel. Also, you hit the like button. Remember that always I tell you that one like is equals to one share in YouTube algorithm. So for tuition or any inquiry, or anything that you want for chemistry, mathematics, physics, and biology, call 07 16 39 61 34. Thank you.